Sup fam, welcome to the Mrs. Reddit Show. I'm your host, JF Kevin, filling in for Karen Monroe. Today we have some great stories for you. One in which Karen makes a server at a restaurant cry. Before we get started, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Karen goes to jail. I've posted 3 stories of my neighbor Karen, and this was finally the last straw. To recap the events in order, 1. She came into my house without knocking while I was naked from the waist down. 2. Her side of the complex didn't have running water, so she used my bathroom only to spill the beans of my pregnancy to my aunt and uncle before I was able to. 3. She tried to convince my hubby I was cheating on him with some close friends, all because we were both pansexual. This time, however, she crossed the biggest line and I'm pressing charges. Last week was my 20-week ultrasound and gender reveal of my baby. I had arranged it with my doctor to have them mail me the gender and not tell me so I could have a small gathering to reveal it to my close friends and family. I had lost one of my mail keys a few days prior, but I wasn't worried because I had a few copies, and now I know I didn't actually lose it. Yesterday, I was supposed to get the letter from my doctor in the mail, but when I checked my mailbox, it was empty. Thinking the mail was just delayed, I figured I'd try again today. While I was visiting with my aunt and uncle, they get a knock on the door, and there was Karen, holding a pink bag and a balloon that said, "It's a girl," on it. Karen said,
"Oh, I saw OP was here and I figured I'd stop by."
My aunt said, "Sorry, what?" Karen proceeds to come in, scooting around my aunt and walking over to me.
"Congratulations, a little girl."
I'm sorry?
"You're having a little girl."
How would you know that?
"Oh, I just happened to get your letter from the doctor yesterday."
And you opened it?
"Of course, I was dying to know what you guys were having. I hope you don't mind."
My uncle said, "That's a federal offense, and now there's 3 witnesses to your confession."
"Oh, don't be like that. We're all close as family, right?"
My husband says, "Out. Get out before I let my wife beat you up." After my husband said that, she saw I was fuming, doing my best to restrain myself from doing exactly that.
"I was just trying to be neighborly."
I shot up out of my seat and made her drop the bag and book it out of there. Once she was gone, I broke down and started crying. My family was trying to soothe me. Once I composed myself, I called the local non-emergency police number and told them what had happened. They sent an officer here to get our statements, and we all watched as he went to her door, talked to her a little bit, and then put her in handcuffs before putting her in the back of his cruiser. All the while, she was insisting she did nothing wrong. The officer came over and told us that they'll be in touch with a court date and took her away. Update. I just got off the phone with my landlord. Karen's been served with a 3-day eviction notice. She's gonna be gone for good. Wow. What's wrong with people? I mean, I don't think OP dropped her mail key. I think it's more likely that she left it in the mailbox. So instead of doing the neighborly or just, good human thing and bringing the key back to OP, Karen kept it. And I gotta wonder, what was going on in her head then, right? Was she just gonna, keep checking her mail in case she got a package and steal that? Or, maybe maybe that was the whole thing. She was gonna steal a package, but then she got this letter from the doctor's office and just knew it was gonna be, juicy. And she just couldn't help herself. I mean, some people are just, they're just like that. Go back where you came from. I live in a German-speaking country, and we're known to be very strict about closing times and time limits at our government offices. I happened to witness some fine malicious compliance in one of these offices. I work as an engineer, and I went to an office which deals with formal requests regarding government-issued assignments. If you want to get such an assignment, you have to bring in paperwork in person up to a specific date. Because of the form and many things that happen in my industry, it's quite common to bring in the paperwork on the last day possible. It was close to closing time and I was waiting for someone to help me when a woman entered the room, obviously in a rush, heading to the counter where the paperwork had to be put in. The counter was empty at the time. While she rushes across the waiting area, her paperwork slides out of her arms and falls to the ground, spreading all over. As she is trying to put it all back together, a man who looked Middle Eastern tried to help her. But when he touched her, she let out a shriek and told him to go back where he belongs and not to touch her paperwork. Obviously a racist remark telling him to go to his country of origin, a quite common sentiment here. Without a word, he gets up, goes behind the counter that the woman was heading for. When she finally finishes picking up her papers, she heads to the counter, realizing that he's there. Just as she reaches him, he puts up a sign that says closed and points to the clock, which had just reached closing time. Her face went blank as she stammered and asked him to please make an exception, but she surely knew from the beginning that this was a pointless request. If she had let him help her, I'm sure she would have been able to put in the paperwork. I can make the assumption that she either wasn't able to put in the paperwork at all, or at the very least had to come in the next day. Surely not what her boss was expecting. You know, I come from a family that is multiracial, and racism just makes me pretty annoyed, makes me sick. I really can't stand it. You know, I pass for white, but my sister does not. And, you know, I've definitely seen people be racist. And it honestly, I just don't get it. Just, you know, you should never judge someone by what they look like on the outside. And honestly, this woman got exactly what she deserved. You know, I hope she got fired. I hope that her missing her deadline led to her getting fired. She sounds like an awful, awful person. All right, guys, before our last story, do me a favor, hit that like button and leave a comment down below and let me know what you would do if you witnessed someone being racist for no reason. Am I the a-hole for making a server cry? My 15-year-old little sister, let's call her Ellie, has always struggled with food and eating. She's actually been hospitalized before because of her weight dropping so low. It's nearly impossible to go out for meals with her because she likes food to be made in a very specific way and to know what's in it. But recently, she's been to a lot of therapy and seems to be getting better. And it's been nice actually getting to go out with her to restaurants. Yesterday, I took her out for lunch, just the two of us. She usually makes a lot of adjustments to the meals she orders. She tends to order food without sauces or dressings and to have things very plain and simple. As long as she's eating though, that's fine with me. When the server brought Ellie's food over, she kind of laughed when she put the plate down and said, "Bit of a boring plate." Ellie looked kind of shocked and embarrassed. Then the server actually turned to the people at the table next to us, pointed at Ellie's plate, and jokingly said, "Look at all that beige, ever seen anything like it?" And they all chuckled as the server just walked away. My sister barely said anything for the rest of the meal and didn't eat anything. I think she really felt humiliated. I saw red. I was furious. I told Ellie to go sit in the car after I finished, and I was waiting to pay. When the server came to take the payment, I told her very firmly that it's completely inappropriate to comment on someone's food choices, as you have no idea what they're going through. She said that it was just a joke and she would never comment on someone's weight or the quantity they ordered, but just thought saying that the food was beige was harmless. I said that it's not a funny joke and that she had just humiliated a teenage girl with serious eating problems and set her back God knows how far, and that what she had done was cruel and malicious by making a joke like that at her expense. The server got all flustered and started crying, although she still didn't really apologize, and I left without paying. I emailed the manager of the restaurant when I got home and said I wouldn't be coming back or paying for the meal without an apology. And he basically said that he was sorry that Ellie had been offended, but I'd been aggressive towards his staff and made a server cry over what she perceived as a lighthearted bit of banter, and that I do have to pay for the meal. Our mom thinks I'm being a jerk, that it's not fair to expect everyone to understand my sister's condition, and that as much as she's upset that Ellie is upset, that the server didn't mean anything malicious and that I should pay for the meal now that the owner has apologized. I don't really feel like that was an apology, and I think the server was out of line. But now I'm questioning whether I overreacted, and I should just go back and pay. Am I the a-hole? Okay, so I used to work in a restaurant. I did it for a very long time, and I can tell you that I, first off, have a hard time believing this story actually happened. It's so unprofessional to comment on anyone's meal, but here's the thing. A lot of servers are very entitled. A lot of people I worked with were very entitled. Like, for instance, they'll get mad at you if you want to split your check or if you modify something. And some restaurants won't allow modifications due to, prep, stuff like that. There are reasons sometimes, but since the restaurant was able to accommodate the little sister, I don't see why the server needed to make a joke. And then on top of that, to turn to another table. I've seen some absolute terrible stuff happen that servers have done. I've seen some very rude, awful servers. I've worked with some very crappy people, but I've never seen anything that rude, that disrespectful, where you would actually turn to another table and do that. I I gotta say, I think OP is a jerk for not paying for the meal. I don't ever agree with that, but I think the server's a jerk too. I think the only person in this story that's not a jerk is Ellie. She didn't do anything. I'm not including the mom. Wasn't there, Anyway, that one got me heated. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, and thanks for sitting with me without Karen being here. It's been a real pleasure. Hopefully, I will continue to see you. I will be hosting the next couple episodes. That's all for today. Click on this playlist for more Mrs. Reddit episodes.